What is going on, guys? It is Ushanka here. It is Monday, June 1st of 2020. Alright, now I've been putting off making this video because I've been wanting to see what's gonna happen. You know, let things take its course. Let the news sort of build up on what's been happening all across the country. And I've just been looking at everything. I've been watching the news carefully. I've been leaving local reports where I live, in Southern California. Things have been happening with the whole George Floyd and the protests, peaceful protests, the riots, the looting, just the disgrace of it. And it's turned into a whole huge big debacle that's going on all across the country. And I don't know how long this is going to last. It could last for another week, it could last for another month. I mean, even today, in my neighborhood, like 6 minutes away at a local park, there's going to be a Black Lives Matter movement, and it's actually supposed to be starting because it's 12 o'clock right now. It's 12 o'clock right now as I'm filming this, and at 12:30 there's going to be a Black Lives Matter peaceful protest that's going to be like 6 minutes away from my house. Okay, so there are some BLM movements that are peaceful, but sometimes there's going to be always those bad apples that are going to show up, and they might start some shit. And I don't know if that's going to happen today. I hope it doesn't happen today. I hope that it just is a protest. I mean, there was a city in maybe like 20 minutes away from me. There was protests at a major intersection. I'm not going to say where, but there was protests there. So there was some local protests that were happening around my city where I live in SoCal, and it's getting pretty crazy. It's getting pretty hairy. And then last night, which was the 31st, Long Beach, Santa Monica, you had Minneapolis, of course, was still going on. You've had the National Guard. You had just police and riot gear working overtime. It's just becoming a big thing. So I just want to make this video to give you my thoughts and my opinions on how I'm taking this, okay? Now, there's news starting to come out that George Floyd was not the perfect person that they're saying, who he was. They're trying to say, oh, this poor man, good guy. I just saw there's video footage. You can actually go to InfoWars, and the media is not telling this. They're not revealing this situation right now because it's going to go against the whole narrative. It's going to make them look bad. Not to mention that they're not even paying attention anyways because they're too busy looting or rioting or destroying things or hurting people. But whatever they're doing, if this matters to them or not, I'm pretty sure it doesn't make no difference. But if you go to Infowars.com, there's security camera footage of Floyd actually, being put up against the wall of a restaurant. He's getting arrested. He has his hands behind his back. He's handcuffed already, and he's put against the wall. And then he's being sat down, and you could. It's an HD camera. It's like clear as day. He reaches into his back pocket and he pulls out a little white baggie. I think the media was playing this but you can see, because it's new footage that they released, but we don't know how much other footage is out there from different angles, from different cameras, in the area. We don't know, but there was a baggie, white baggie that he pulled out of his pocket, and the cops didn't. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it's there on camera. But the media is not talking about it. But there's a baggie with a white powder in it, and he found it. So, and then the autopsy is saying that he died of a heart attack. Well, let's just say that white stuff is like cocaine or something, and his heart rate is going, he's freaking out, he's getting put on the ground, and then he's also got the neck, the knee onto the back of his neck. That's going to a bad combination, basically. Okay, so he's like already overly stressed out, can't breathe, this and that. And don't get me wrong, the guy should have never died. And I was thinking this: no matter what we find out about this guy, whether he was a drug dealer, whether he was handing out fake money, whether he was doing resisting arrest, I don't know, I don't care. The whole point is that unless this guy was going around shooting people and the cops took him down, okay, then I would have no remorse. I'd be like, okay, whatever, he deserved it. But this guy it's like routine, if you stop a guy who's breaking the law, and if they're resisting or not resisting, they get arrested, they get pinned down, they get arrested, they get thrown in the back of this police car. Okay, that's typical procedure. All right, but then it goes a little bit further, and it's like he's handcuffed, he's already on the sidewalk, and then they move him, then he kind of resists, and then all of a sudden there's a knee on his neck, and then he's dead. So I don't believe this guy did not deserve to die. Okay, I will stand for that. But now that more evidence is coming out, like, he's kind of a druggy guy, and he was handing out fake 20s to buy food or whatever. So this guy was doped out of his mind. This guy, he made some poor life choices, and so that's where he ended up being. But to paint this person as a saint, that's not the case. Okay, the evidence there is pointing that that's not the case. All right, so I'm not going to be saying like, oh, this guy is, he was totally good, nothing bad ever came from him. All right, guy obviously was doing drugs. Guy was probably on other things, maybe drunk, and he just out of his, mushed out of his gourd that, he's using fake 20s and stuff, and he didn't even realize what he had. So, that there's that, and I'm not gonna. I still agree that that what the officers did was wrong, and then supposedly they knew him. They knew each other a long time ago. The officer and George. They supposedly they knew each other a long time ago. So it's kind of like, it's still at their speculation. Was it just like a I'm angry at you type killing? I know what you did. This is like a vengeance killing. I don't know. I have no idea. And then there's also the thing of him being a porn star. Honestly, it makes no difference to me. Okay, he could be a porn star. He could be on drugs. He could be doing something. The whole point is that officer did something. Whether they knew each other or not, the guy didn't deserve to die, okay? He didn't. There's protocols in place to deal with every other criminal that's ever been caught with some sort of narcotics, some sort of weapon or whatever, and if they go down peacefully or if they go down resisting, either way, the cops get them, and they pin them down, handcuff them, put them in the back of the squad car, take them to jail, okay? That's what happens. That's the process. Now, what happened there, I don't know what the hell that was. That was like, now you had, and that's the other thing, you have one officer there and three others Okay? There's no way he should have been there on the ground for that long and had it, to have that happen. So whether he was suffocated or he had a heart attack, whatever, either way, they should have released the knee and said, okay, what's wrong? He's like, oh, I have trouble breathing, oh, my heart, or this or that, And then maybe they could have tried to make it look like he was like they were trying to help, but they didn't. It didn't look that way. It was just like pure 8 minutes of right there, just pinning and not listening. So, there could be bigger things at play here. I don't know. I'm not sure. But either way, the killing was still wrong. It was not right. And if he was black, if he was white, if he was brown, Asian, whatever, it would be just as bad all around this. A human being was killed, okay, by a police officer that wasn't following his protocols, okay, that wasn't following what proper police procedure needed to be in order to get this guy down, have him handcuffed, and then he should have been gone. He should have, the moment the handcuffs were on him, they should have lifted him up and thrown him in the car and drove off, okay? Straight to the police station. But they didn't do that. Okay? So now I'm going to talk about my opinions on the riots and the aftermath of this and what I feel has been happening, okay? Now you have Antifa and you have Black Lives Matter. Like, I feel like Black Lives Matter has many different groups involved with Black Lives Matter. It's not like the Black Panthers where it's like a militant group. It's like Black Lives Matter has its own militant group. It has its own peaceful protest group. It has a group that is just a hodgepodge of everybody. You got people who just are you have the Antifa that are part of it. They march with Black Lives Matter. They have different people of different races and nationalities that people who are just there supporting Black Lives Matter. They're not part of the movement. They're not hardcore part of the movement, 100%, 24/7, wherever they go, wherever they march. BLM, they're with them. Okay? Some of them are BLM, but they don't agree with the whole I hate cops. They're kind of reasonable. So I feel like there's these different sections, these different groups inside that make up Black Lives Matter. Okay? Because I saw videos of BLM protesters going after Antifa. Okay? And I think Antifa is the one that is really causing a lot of these problems. Because it just was a couple days ago, or on Sunday, it was Sunday or Saturday, Trump officially declared that Antifa is a terrorist organization. Okay, if you associate yourself with Antifa, you're a terrorist. Anything Antifa, if you support them, you're part of their group, whatever, you are supporting a terrorist organization. Okay, so let that be known, sink in right there. Okay, and Antifa are a bunch of white soy boy kids who still live at their mother's basements or their mother's houses, and they're living there, and they listen to the mainstream media. They listen to whatever the Bernie Sanders or their party demands of them. They are 100% socialists, communists, and they don't care for anybody. They're living in their own world, in their own fantasy world. They are LARPing, which is live action role playing. They're like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but for real. And they're actually suiting up, and they think that they're fighting and making a difference for their socialist, communist agenda. Okay, and so when they go to these and don't get me wrong, there are certain BLM groups in the past. They have started riots. They've started fires. They've done looting. It's happened because BLM, they've taken some protests, like they'll mix themselves in with protesters, and then they start rioting or looting or setting things on fire, and it drags others involved with them. So Antifa is doing this too for the past, couple days, and they're doing that, and they're dragging other Black Lives Matter. They're like, well, if I'm here, I'm going to tag along. I'm going to, do it. So it's like, I'm not making a racial term here, but it's like, that saying, monkey see, monkey do. You see one thing, they're going to do it. Okay? So that's what's going to that's what's happening. They're seeing things, they're doing things, and they're just going to copy it. Okay? Just like a child. When a child sees that whatever their parents do, they pick up on it and they start doing the same thing. Okay? So that's what's happening with a lot of these, and then you got people who are just so stupid that they're just like, hey, I just want to go and loot shit, and I just want to go take shit. And the whole thing for George Floyd, for this whole thing, it's lost its grounds. Okay? And this goes to show you that these leftists that you support, these leftists that where all this is happening, because a lot of this is happening in major leftist cities. Okay? It's not really happening in a lot of Republican-run cities or towns or states or whatever. It's mostly happening in liberal cities. I mean, because we got Los Angeles, we got Sacramento, we got Washington D.C. We got all these cities and counties, and they're all blue. They're all blue run. And these people that are complaining about, or that are looting and that are, trying to get their message about, their support and protest for George Floyd, it's losing their meaning. It's losing their value because they can't seem to get anything right, because the left has just asphyxiated itself onto these people who live in these cities that are leftist run, that they can't think for themselves. They do whatever is necessary to just go and do it, to go do it, okay? And I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat it here, but it's like, I see, I don't want to have to think like, oh, it's just black people that are doing this, because it wasn't just black people that are doing this. But you got a lot of bad eggs that are coming from the African American community that just are playing the victimhood. Okay? They're playing victim, alright? Not all African Americans are bad, but you got one group that was oppressed over 200 years ago, and now that they're free, they've been listening to the Democrats. The Democrats have been telling them that you have been oppressed and you need reparations for that. Okay? You need reparations for that stuff, because you've been oppressed. We're the Democrats. We're here to help you. We're going to keep your heat on. We're going to keep you getting government checks. We're going to, you have access to school. You have access to a housing. You have something, even though it's shit schools, crappy homes to live in, and programs that, that just suck, okay? But they don't care, because because whatever they see as a free handout from the government, that is reparations for them. If the government is giving them something, they're going to take it as, hey, I deserve this because of what happened 200 years ago. Blame Whitey, okay? Like, this has turned from a crime, a murder, into a race war. Because I was looking at footage last night of people that were just getting, white people were getting hit. And so anybody who was not black, basically, I saw them getting hit. I saw them getting mugged, getting stuff thrown at them. I saw it. And it's a race thing, okay? And not all, and again, I have to emphasize on this, not all black people are like this. It pisses me off, but it's like, you know, the stereotypes that they don't like to see portrayed on them in media, or, you know, how they complain about somebody did blackface or this or that, or, you know, like the stereotypes of blacks in movies and things like that. You know, those stereotypes, they want to steer away from that. Well, they're not doing a very good job when they're out there looting, rioting, and setting things on fire and only influencing the stereotype that they're trying to get away from, okay? All right? So, and you know what stereotypes I'm talking about. You have to know. If you watch me, if you listen to me, and if you listen to other people talk about stereotypes, you know what I'm talking about. The African American stereotypes, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Those stereotypes that they hate talking about, they are obviously influencing it right now. Because those stereotypes that are around, the only reason why those stereotypes are made is because back in 1962, you had the Watts riots. 1992, you had the Rodney King riots. And who was mostly rioting during those times? It was mostly the blacks doing that. Okay? And that's not being racist. That's just the fact. Okay? This is no different than the Rodney King incident back in 92. Okay, I wasn't even born yet, but, you know, if you read up on it and you look at what happened, the cause and effect of the Rodney King riot and you know, incident, it's no different than what's happening right now. But this one is happening nationwide. Rodney King, that just happened in LA. That was just strictly based in LA. This is happening all over the country. All right? So it is on a massive scale bigger than the Rodney King incident. Okay? So, because of those things that I'm listing off here, is that their stereotypes, they are falling in line with those stereotypes, for one. And then two, they are not, I'm sorry to say this, but some and most of the African American community, they will never, ever, ever, unless by a miracle, they will never, ever accept the fact that if you're not their skin color, you have no idea of what oppression is. Okay? They're going based off of their skin color and off of their ancestors, that because of my skin color, because of my heritage, I will never forgive whitey. They will live and they will play that victimhood card all the time. And they won't blame whitey. They will blame it all on racism and everything, you know, so the cows come home. They will keep doing that. And they're never going to stop. You can reason with them. You can try and explain it to them. You can try to write it down. You can show it in a book. You can show them facts, videos, articles, whatever. They don't care. If you get the hardcore blacks that just live in that victimhood mentality. And again, I'm not saying all. There are African Americans out there that are very smart. They're business owners. They're educated. They believe in America. They believe in having a constitution. They believe that this country is their home. Sure, they might have actually encountered some racist things in the past, but they never let it got to them. It never killed their spirit to where they're like, oh, why you did this to me today? I'm not going to do anything with my life. No. They took that crap, threw it out the window, and they got on with their lives. Okay? They don't care about that. But it's a small number that are like that. Because the majority of everything I've been seeing, the looting, everything across the city, those are the people who are still the victims, who are dependent on the government, who are dependent on liberal policies, Democrat policies. They live in a culture that is degrading. They live in a culture that influences stuff like this. To where, and they also have that to where, I get everything for free. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go take it. Because my rap music tells me this. My black media tells me this. I've been raised that, if I get the chance, to go get some cool shit, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go do it. Because we have different IQ levels here. We've got people who have at least a decent amount of IQ knowledge to know that this is not right, don't do it. Because there's people who are probably like in their 30s, late 20s, 30s, that are out there looting. It's not just a bunch of 18-year-old kids going around looting. I'm pretty sure there are some, but there's not a lot of... I've seen a mix of old middle-aged people, some young people going out there and looting stores, and I see some kids that are like my age, close to 30, and they're going out there and they're looting, they're rioting. So I'm seeing old, middle-aged, young. I'm seeing a variety of everyone doing this. So this mentality spans this victimhood mentality, this I need it mentality. They have it. And their knowledge is just like they have to do it. They have to do it. I don't know why, but they have to do it. But it's just like, they get to doing it, and then it just spreads, and it spreads, and it spreads, and then everyone else starts doing it, and it's just making them look bad. They should just go home. And then now that this is happening, you've got protests that are happening, and it's like whether they're going to be peaceful or not, we don't know, because rotten apples ruin the bushel. You don't know what kind of protest is going to happen. Every time I hear protest, I'm thinking, is it really going to be a protest? Is it really? Are they trying to really have a protest? And I don't know. That's why the one that's going to be happening probably right now is that one is, I don't know. Is it going to be legit? Is it going to be peaceful? I have no idea. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off right now. I'll probably be making another follow-up video as this stuff goes on and give you my thoughts on it. But this is my thoughts on the riots right now and the looting. And all I can say is that they're not helping their cause. They're making themselves look bad. They're keeping their stereotypes well alive. And anyone who's saying that that they deserve to do this because it's racism that's eating them up, and racism is causing them to do this, so they have the right to do it. That is a bunch of bullshit. Nobody in their right mind has the right to go and start destroying their communities and going to other communities to go and put other businesses down, to go and wreck society. No one is given that right to do it. I have a friend on Facebook who's never says anything about anything politics-wise, but the moment this happens is because the race issue, hardcore, this needs to happen. This is deserving. So I have there is no reason to have this happen, to cause massive anarchy and destruction in their community, there where they live, or in other communities where other people live. So I'll stop the video right here. This is going to be maybe more videos tagged along after this, because there's more to talk about with this. Excuse me. So like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you need to do, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.